Hello everyone, and especially Blunty3000. This is the Masked Analyst. Before I start this video today, I'd like to make the obligatory statement that I'm not a lawyer, so take anything I say about the law with a grain of salt. Blunty3000, I'd like to comment on your video and your blog about the haters and your support of YouTube in its banning of a certain individual. You won't say his name, but I will. YouTube has permanently banned Trevor Rieger of Utubedrama. As you know, he has opened a new account under the name Utubedramaqueen, and he has posted a video explaining his ordeal. I am posting a link to his video in the sidebar. I invite everyone to look at a comment that you made on his video, Blunty. I had commented that if YouTube wants its users to refrain from running afoul of their rules, they ought to spell out in the toss exactly what they will and they will not allow. You replied, and I'm quoting, "Spell it out in the toss? Yeah, they did. Here's what I believe to be relevant here. You further agree that you will not publish falsehoods or misrepresentations that could damage YouTube or any third party. Submit material that is defamatory, libelous, threatening, harassing, hateful. Everything Utubedrama has ever published violated at least one of these rules. Everything that Utubedrama ever published violated the terms of service? Everything? You mean to say that Trevor has never made one video, that he never posted one comment that wasn't in violation of the toss? I think you just libeled him, and if YouTube were to enforce its rules literally and across the board and consistently, they would have to get rid of you and your account and banish you forever for that statement. Actually, I'm wondering if we are watching the same Utubedrama. It is possible that Trevor doesn't get every detail of every story right. Few of us do. And he does have a biting wit and a caustic sense of humor. But from what I can see, he usually backs up his accusations with solid evidence. I'd like to talk to you about your support of YouTube's censorship of haters. I think you're a good man, Blunty, and that you're just trying to look out for the interest of the average YouTube user and trying to protect them from unnecessary harassment. And there are times that the haters have gone too far, in my opinion, such as when they released names, addresses, and phone numbers in a campaign to harass innocent private citizens who use YouTube. But the situation is really murky and is not as clear-cut as you seem to make it, as you seem to present it. Let's talk about your definition of haters. I'm quoting from your blog here. These people seek out, encourage, and initiate flame wars, attempting to goad people into arguments, not with the intent of having a meaningful debate, but simply to get people angry, to get them riled up, establish aggression, and generally try to make other folk feel bad. Their calling cards are easy to spot. In place of questions designed to encourage debate on whatever issue is being discussed, or statements on what their own opinion is and why, you will instead find them usually spouting off simplistic one-sentence statements, often accompanied by personal insults unrelated to the discussion, inflammatory remarks, inaccurate and/or absurd rants. Sometimes the childish name-calling is the only mark they'll leave. Words like fag seem to be a favorite. Often their statements are seeded with deliberate mistruths, again, for no other purpose than to provide an angry reaction from others. For example, in a discussion about racism, a topic certain to have a lively debate, a hater, instead of sharing his or her opinion for or against the original subject in a mature and reasonable way, will instead seed a comment filled with hateful racial slurs and generally try to be as offensive as possible. Obviously, he expects to be able to sucker people into fighting back against his racist hate speech. Now, I don't remember Trevor ever using racist speech like that or calling people fags. Maybe he did, and I'm unaware of it. I haven't watched every single one of his videos, and I haven't seen every single comment that he's made, but this seems to be out of character for him. I really don't think this passage applies to him, and to your credit, you never said that it did. In fact, you never referred to Trevor by name or Utubedrama for that matter in either your blog or your video. So it's hard to say exactly what refers to him. But there's no doubt in my mind that you did refer to him and call him a hater in your passage about Jack Daniels. Let me read what you wrote about him. His latest video he put up in particular was full of idiotic rhetoric and flat-out lies designed to baselessly defame and attack an innocent person who was simply doing exactly what was asked of him by the new guest editor system YouTube has employed in order to give users more say about what gets featured on the front page of the site. At this point, I must question your characterization of Trevor's expose on Jack Daniels. Was it full of lies as you claim? Unfortunately, we will never know. The way to expose a lie is to subject it to the light of truth. Had Jack Daniels or anyone else made a response video discussing the wild rhetoric and flat-out lies in Trevor's video, then we could have compared that response to Trevor's expose. We could have weighed the logic and the evidence that both parties brought to the table, and we would have drawn our own conclusions about whether or not Trevor was a lying boot weasel. Instead, YouTube made this impossible by deleting Trevor's account. And I don't know whether Trevor was lying, as you claim, but when YouTube censors rather than encourages debate, it makes it look like they are acting out of desperation. It makes it look like they have no other way to fight him or discredit him. And since they apparently can't fight him with logic or evidence, their censorship will only make it look like Trevor got the story right, and it only raises credibility in the eyes of an unbiased third party. Now maybe Trevor did screw up, and maybe he did lie as you say he did, but YouTube's censorship was counterproductive, since it will prevent us from ever finding out. You then went on to say, people like him offer nothing worthwhile to humanity. They are a bottom-feeding hanger-ons, having no talents other than selfish exploitation of their fellow human. They leech from people with real talent in pathetic desperation to have all eyes on them. I'm wondering if we're talking about the same Trevor Rieger. Yes, he's a joker and a prankster, but he's also an investigative reporter, and he was instrumental in breaking the story that Mia Rose unfairly got to the top of the most subscribers list by having lots of dummy accounts subscribed to her. He also broke the story of the apparent conflict of interest and preferential treatment when YouTube News gave Mia Rose favorable reviews without mentioning that Damien Estrich was acting as her representative. Obviously, we will disagree on this, but I think Trevor was doing a service to the average YouTube viewer by disclosing this conflict of interest. I don't know if Damien is or was working officially with YouTube, but establishing the channel YouTube News, by doing this he certainly gave the appearance that he was their unofficial spokesperson. And if this was indeed the case, then Trevor deserves a special thank you from the average YouTuber for revealing that YouTube shows favoritism to a certain select few and that the rest of us aren't playing on a level playing field. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing YouTube here. It's their website and they have every right to do with it what they want. And if they want to show favoritism, then I'm cool with that. We should be grateful to them for providing a website where we can post our videos for free. But if there are conflicts of interest, as there appears to be, then don't you think that Trevor was doing the rest of us a service in letting us know where we stand? Don't you think that you're claiming that he has nothing to offer humanity was overstating the case just a wee bit? Trevor is acting as an investigative reporter, and in a free and open society, reporters should have leeway to report their stories without fear of being arbitrarily labeled haters, and thus worthy of eternal banishment and censorship. It is too easy to attach the label of hater to someone whose report ruffles your feathers, and then get them exiled to a cyber gulag forever. I only ask you, what would have happened had Richard Nixon been able to call Woodward and Bernstein haters, and thus make them disappear? We would never have found out about the cover-up of the Watergate break-in. We would never have learned about the obstruction of justice, or Nixon's enemies list. You might not be familiar with Nixon's enemies list because you're not an American, so I'm posting a link to this in the sidebar.